The Department of Education is offering its employees a one-time payment of $25,000 to resign by 11:59 p.m. tonight. The offer was made via email Friday by the department's top HR official. It is detailed as a voluntary separation incentive payment and includes employees who want to retire. According to the email, this would be effective on March 31st. It's part of the Trump administration's efforts to slash the size of the federal workforce, and the president has warned government workers that even deeper cuts are coming. The latest CBS News poll shows there's one thing Americans agree on, that President Trump is making major changes to how the government works. CBS News Chief Washington correspondent Major Garrett is in our D.C. bureau. He will also be spearheading our special coverage tomorrow night on CBS News 24/7. Major, the president has previously flirted with the idea of shutting down the Department of Ed altogether. That would require Congress. But
Sure.
Do you see this as a first step in a major overhaul?
Certainly, absolutely. And these voluntary agreements between senior managers in any government agency and its employees to accept a buyout is legally binding, and you sign an agreement. And this is a way to reduce the workforce and avoid slowdowns that might come up through any sort of federal lawsuit. So this is one way to shrink that workforce. But Lindsay, let's just pause for a second about this long-running Republican desire to abolish the Department of Education. When I say long-running, it dates back to the first term of Ronald Reagan's presidency, 1980 to 84. Then it was renewed when Republicans took control of the House for the first time in 40 years in 1994. It sort of went into slumbering in the early 2000s, but it's come back with a vengeance with President Trump. The Department of Education in 2024 had a budget of $268 billion. 59% of that went to Pell Grants and student loans. 30% went to low-income schools, 7% to special education funding for states to provide that. If you're going to attack the Department of Education, you're basically attacking student loans and Pell Grants, low-income students who would not have federal support otherwise, which means states would have to come up with that money themselves, imperiling their ability to keep a balanced budget or get rid of special education funding. All of those things remain extremely politically popular. So the president can reduce the workforce at the Department of Education through this voluntary buyout, for sure. But if he starts cutting into these other things, the political backlash will ensue.
Thank you for putting that in perspective for us. Elon Musk obviously leading the Doge's efforts to reduce the size of government. What are you hearing about Musk possibly meeting with House Republican leaders? What would they want to talk to him about?
They want to talk to him about what they're hearing from their constituents, that this feels to many Republican constituents. And yes, they keep saying, oh, these are Democrats are showing up at these town halls. But they also know that that's just a talking point, that some of their constituents, some of whom supported President Trump in the last election, are either confused, dismayed, or outright angry about the layoffs, either to contractors or to federal workers. And so what they want from Musk is a sense of what are you finding? What can we cut without reducing benefits or the federal workforce as drastically as you're trying to do it? Can there be some means by which to explain this publicly a little bit better, show your work a little bit more clearly and more believably about what you can achieve in cost savings? And House Republican leaders want Musk to do this with most House Republicans sometime this week on Capitol Hill. Details are still being worked out, but the House Republicans want Musk to come in, listen to their concerns, explain what he's finding, and so together they can put together something that is more politically resilient than what's gone on so far.
Major Garrett, thank you so much.